My name is Sophia Bennett, and for almost 4 years, I thought I was in love with the perfect man. His name was Nathan Brooks. When we first met, he seemed like everything a woman could ever want. He was charming, confident, successful, the kind of man who always knew exactly what to say, the kind of man who made everyone feel special, especially me. In the beginning, Nathan treated me like a princess. He brought me flowers for no reason, sent good morning texts every day, remembered every little detail about my life, my favorite coffee, my favorite songs, even the name of my childhood dog. I thought I had found my soulmate. Looking back now, I realize something important. Some people don't start by controlling you. They start by making you depend on them. And that's exactly what Nathan did. At first, the changes were small, almost invisible. One day he said, "I don't like that guy from your office. He looks at you too much." I laughed. "You're being silly." But Nathan looked serious. "I'm just protecting what belongs to me." Back then, I thought it sounded romantic. Today, I know it was a warning. A few weeks later, he complained about one of my closest male friends. Then another. Then another. Slowly, I stopped talking to them. Not because Nathan forced me. Because I wanted to avoid arguments. At least that's what I told myself. Then he started commenting on my clothes. "That dress is too short. Why are you wearing makeup if I'm not there? You don't need to impress other men." Again, I changed. Again, I told myself it wasn't a big deal. Love requires compromise, right? That's what I believed. Months turned into years. And little by little, I became someone I didn't recognize. I stopped going out with friends. Stopped attending family gatherings. Stopped doing things I enjoyed. My life slowly became centered around one thing: keeping Nathan happy. The problem was that Nathan was never happy. No matter what I did, no matter how hard I tried, there was always another problem, another complaint, another rule. One evening, I met my best friend Emma for coffee. It was the first time I had seen her in almost 3 months. Halfway through our conversation, my phone started ringing. Nathan. I ignored it. A minute later, it rang again. Then again. Then again. By the time I left the cafe, I had 27 missed calls. 27. I immediately called him back. The moment he answered, he started yelling. "Where have you been?" "Having coffee with Emma." "Why didn't you answer?" "We were talking. You ignored me." "Nathan, it was only an hour." An hour is a long time. By the end of the conversation, I found myself apologizing for spending time with my best friend. When I got home, Emma texted me. Her message was simple. "Sophia, are you okay?" I stared at the screen. Then I typed back, "Of course." But for the first time, I wasn't sure that was true. A few weeks later, something happened that changed everything. My company announced a new management position. It was a huge opportunity. A promotion. Higher salary. Better benefits. A chance to finally build the career I'd always wanted. When I told Nathan, I expected him to be excited. Instead, he frowned. "Are you going to apply?" "Of course." "Why?" I laughed. "What do you mean why? You already have a job. I want to grow." Nathan shook his head. "I don't think it's a good idea." That conversation turned into an argument. Then another. Then another. Every time I mentioned the promotion, Nathan found a reason to criticize it. Eventually, I realized the truth. He didn't want me to succeed. He wanted me to stay dependent on him. The day I submitted my application, he didn't speak to me for hours. The day I got the promotion, he became furious. Instead of congratulating me, he said something I'll never forget. "You care more about your career than this relationship." I stared at him in disbelief. "I worked hard for this. What about us? What about us? You'll have less time for me." For the first time, I saw something clearly. Nathan didn't love seeing me happy. He loved controlling me. And the promotion threatened that control. Over the next few months, things became worse. The arguments became more frequent. The accusations became more ridiculous. One night, he accused me of flirting with a coworker because I laughed at a joke during a company dinner. Another time, he demanded access to my phone. When I refused, he spent hours accusing me of hiding something. I felt exhausted, emotionally drained, constantly anxious. I started waking up with headaches. I stopped sleeping properly. Even my coworkers noticed something was wrong. One afternoon, Emma visited my apartment. The moment she walked inside, she looked concerned. "Sophia, what happened to you?" "I'm fine." "No, you're not." I tried to smile, but I couldn't. Emma sat beside me. Then she said something that changed my life. "You don't look happy anymore." I wanted to argue, wanted to defend Nathan, wanted to make excuses. Instead, I started crying. For the first time in years, I told someone the truth. Everything. The control. The arguments. The constant criticism. The fear. Emma listened quietly. When I finished, she squeezed my hand. Then she asked one question. "If your younger sister told you this story, what advice would you give her?" I immediately answered, "I'd tell her to leave." The moment the words left my mouth, I realized something. I already knew the answer. I had known it for a long time. I was just too afraid to admit it. 2 weeks later, Nathan gave me an ultimatum. The moment still feels unreal. We were sitting in his apartment, arguing about my job again. Suddenly he looked at me and said, "It's your career or me." I laughed. At first, I honestly thought he was joking. But he wasn't. His face remained completely serious. "It's your career or me." The room became silent. For years, I had sacrificed everything for him. Friends, hobbies, confidence, peace of mind. And now he wanted my future too. Something inside me finally snapped. Not in anger. In clarity. I looked directly at him. Then I said 4 words. "I choose myself, Nathan." His expression changed instantly. "What?" "I choose myself. You'll regret this." I stood up, picked up my purse, and walked toward the door. Behind me, Nathan kept talking, threatening, arguing, begging. But for the first time, I didn't listen. Because for the first time, I understood something. Love should never feel like a prison. The weeks after the breakup were difficult. Nathan called constantly, texted constantly, created new accounts after I blocked him. Sometimes he promised to change. Sometimes he blamed me. Sometimes he acted like the victim. But I stayed strong. Slowly, life began improving. I reconnected with old friends, started visiting family again, returned to hobbies I had abandoned years earlier. For the first time in a long time, I felt free. A year later, I received another promotion. My confidence returned. My smile returned. Most importantly, I returned. The woman Nathan had slowly erased finally came back. Then, almost 2 years after our breakup, I saw him again. I was leaving a bookstore when I heard a familiar voice. "Sophia." I turned around. Nathan stood a few feet away. He looked older, tired, less confident than I remembered. For a moment, neither of us spoke. Then he smiled awkwardly. "You look great." "Thank you." We talked for a few minutes. Nothing serious. Just small talk. Then he asked a question. "Are you seeing anyone?" I smiled. Yes. The disappointment on his face was obvious. After a few seconds, he asked another question. "Do you ever miss me?" I thought carefully. Not because the answer was difficult. Because I wanted to be honest. Finally, I shook my head. "No." Nathan looked hurt. But I continued. "I don't miss the anxiety. I don't miss the control. I don't miss feeling like I wasn't good enough. The silence between us felt heavy. Then I said one final thing. I didn't lose myself when we broke up, Nathan. I found myself. A few moments later, I walked away. And this time, I didn't look back. Because the greatest lesson I learned wasn't about heartbreak. It wasn't about revenge. And it wasn't about karma. It was about self-worth. The moment you realize your value, controlling people lose their power over you. And sometimes the happiest ending isn't finding the right person. Sometimes it's finally choosing yourself.